7 breaths.
Wow.
Wow. You know, that title just grabs you right away, doesn't it?
It really does.
You get the sense right off the bat that this chapter of Heart of a Samurai is going to be about something big. It's
Yeah.
going to be about, like a big, impactful decision.
Oh, absolutely.
And for Manjiro, our shipwrecked fisherman who's trying to find his footing in Honolulu, it certainly is.
Yeah.
What are your first thoughts on the title, knowing what we know about Manjiro's predicament?
Well, it really sets the tone, I think, doesn't it? It
Yeah.
suggests, like we know that Manjiro's is a crossroads, right?
Yeah.
He can try to return to the life he knew before in Japan, or he can kind of embrace this unknown, this new world.
Yeah,
And 7 breaths it suggests this moment of contemplation,
totally.
of, weighing those options, thinking it through, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And this pivotal moment for Manjiro, it all starts with an invitation.
Okay.
But I was reading through the materials that you shared, and it sounds like the word invitation itself really throws Manjiro for a loop.
It's interesting, right? Because it's such a simple word.
Right.
But for Manjiro, it's just shrouded in uncertainty,
Yeah.
He's suspicious.
Yeah.
He even asks if an invitation's a bad thing.
Oh, wow.
And remember, he's trying to navigate this world where everything is unfamiliar.
Right.
So even a seemingly harmless word like invitation
Right.
can feel really loaded to him, like it's potentially dangerous,
Yeah. And that just makes this meeting with Dr. Judd even more intriguing.
Totally.
Because on the surface, it just seems like a simple exchange.
Right.
They're identifying some artifacts from another shipwreck,
Yeah.
But don't you think there's this like underlying tension, almost like a warning?
Absolutely.
What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's in those details, right?
Uh-huh.
The coins, the pipe. They belong to these Japanese sailors who were just like Manjiro. They were shipwrecked and they were trying to go back home.
Right.
And it kind of leaves you with this question, right? Like, did they ever make it?
Yeah.
And you can almost feel the weight of that question pressing down on Manjiro.
It's unspoken, but it's there, right?
Totally.
It makes me wonder, does hearing their story, does that plant a seed of doubt in Manjiro's mind
Right.
about, his own chances of returning home?
It has to, right.
Yeah.
Because, he's hearing about people just like him who tried to return home, and who knows if they ever made it.
And it makes you think about, even if he could get back, could he ever truly go back to the life he once knew?
Right.
Things might be different.
Exactly.
People might be different.
Yeah, it might not be the same.
And then, boom, enter Captain Whitfield with this massive map.
This is such a great scene.
I know. It's like, can you imagine
Yeah.
being one of those fishermen? You know nothing but the vastness of the ocean, right?
It's just endless ocean.
And suddenly your entire world is just like shrunk down
Yeah.
right there before your eyes.
Oh, we know.
It's like that moment in Men in Black where the galaxy is just a marble.
Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so wild. And then their reaction, it's almost comical to read about, like their disbelief.
Oh, totally.
No way our country is that small, they say.
Yeah. How is that even possible?
But it speaks volumes about how powerful those preconceived notions are.
Totally.
And how easily our worldview can be challenged when we're confronted with new information.
Oh, absolutely. All the time.
Yeah. And here's where I find Manjiro's reaction so fascinating. Because she doesn't translate everything Captain Whitfield says,
Oh, interesting.
especially the part about Japan being closed off.
Right.
It's almost as if he's protecting his friends, in a way,
Okay.
from this new reality. What do you make of that?
It's subtle, but it's such a telling detail. I think this small act of omission
Right.
really speaks volumes about how Manjiro's mindset is changing, evolving.
Yeah.
I mean, he's starting to question his own beliefs.
Right.
He's seeing the cracks,
Yeah.
in this worldview that he's always known. But he's hesitant to, shatter his friend's reality.
Right. He doesn't want to, rock the boat too much.
Exactly. He doesn't want to be that guy.
Right. Right.
So he's kind of stuck, right? He's in this difficult spot
It's tough.
where he's got to embrace this new knowledge,
Yeah.
but at the same time, stay loyal to his friends, to their shared past.
Stay loyal to what he's always known.
Yeah, exactly. And it's something that I think a lot of us can relate to,
Oh, totally.
even if it's not on this global scale.
For sure. That feeling of outgrowing a group,
Yeah,
of realizing, your perspectives no longer really align anymore.
totally.
I mean, that's universal. It happens to all of us.
It does.
It's a part of life, I guess.
Totally. And that's where Manjiro's internal struggle just becomes even more compelling, don't you think?
It's like he's being pulled in two different directions.
Yeah.
It's tough, right? On one hand, you've got this, comfortable familiarity
Oh.
of his friend's perspective, even if it is starting to feel, a little bit small to him.
Right.
But then on the other hand, you have this vast unknown world.
Yeah.
It's like opening up to him,
That's right.
challenging everything that he thought he knew.
Totally challenging everything that he thought he knew.
It's exciting though, right?
Oh, for sure.
In a way.
But also scary, probably.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially when you think about, what his friends are saying about Americans. The sources do a great job of highlighting, like, how different their perspectives are.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you've got his friends who have this it's almost cartoonish the way they view Americans.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Loud.
Leaning with their hands.
Yeah. Like the monsters or something.
It's almost as if they're trying to, like, reinforce their own worldview, by focusing on all of these, like, superficial differences.
Yeah, like they're clinging to that.
Right. It's like they're saying, see, we're nothing like them.
Exactly. But I also think it reveals this, like, deeper anxiety,
Oh, yeah, for sure. Like, the unknown is frightening.
Yeah.
Especially when it challenges those beliefs that you've held for so long.
It's easier to just, like, dismiss something as strange or different or even inferior
Totally.
than to really grapple with the idea that it might change your whole understanding of the world,
Right. Because that takes work to change your worldview.
Totally. It's a lot easier to just stick with what you know.
Exactly.
And, it just makes Manjiro's own observations of the Americans even more interesting.
Totally.
I mean, he notices their knowledge, their understanding of the world.
And the fact that they were right about how big the world is.
Yes. I mean, they weren't just making it up. They had proof. They had maps.
Right.
He's seeing past the surface, He's recognizing something valuable there, even admirable.
Yeah, he's starting to see that there's more than one way to see things, right?
Absolutely. But this internal conflict, it's really heating up, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
He's clearly drawn to this new knowledge, to this wider view of the world.
Yeah.
But he also knows it's going to cost him something, right?
Yeah.
If he embraces this new way of looking at things,
Yeah.
is he going to lose that connection with his friends?
Right.
Is he going to lose his shared past?
I mean, it's a tough spot to be in.
It is.
To have to choose.
It's that classic kind of growing up moment, that we all go through, some of us, in different ways.
For sure.
And it all kind of comes to a head when Manjiro finds himself just staring at that map.
Right.
It's not just lines on paper anymore.
It's possibility.
Right. It's a symbol almost.
Totally.
Of possibility of this future that's bigger
Yeah.
than anything he's ever imagined.
And the language that he uses to describe it, too.
What's that?
Invitation.
Oh, wow.
He describes the map as an invitation.
I didn't even connect that back to the beginning, to Dr. Judd's invitation.
Oh, that's so good.
It's like that initial encounter with the word. It's like he planted a seed,
Yeah.
And now here it is. It's starting to grow.
Mm-hmm. So true.
It's really amazing how these little details
Totally.
can take on like this whole new meaning when you really think about them.
It's the little things, right?
Right. And Captain Whitfield even kind of reinforces this idea
Oh, yeah. How so?
when he tells Manjiro that, maps can only show you so much,
Yeah.
that you have to really experience the world,
Yeah. Firsthand. Get out there and experience it for yourself.
That's the only way to really understand it.
Right.
It's like this call to action.
Yeah.
Like urging Manjiro to step outside of what he knows.
Outside of his comfort zone.
Exactly. And to see what's out there. And it clearly resonates with him.
Totally.
You can just feel it when you read it.
Manjiro's ready.
And it brings us to this pivotal moment.
Okay.
The 7 breaths decision.
Oh, yeah.
So Manjiro's weighing his options.
He's trying to figure it out.
And he remembers his mother's advice.
What's that?
She said, one should make one's decisions within the space of 7 breaths.
Wow. It's simple.
But it's profound, right?
It really is.
7 breaths.
You can make any decision in 7 breaths.
He has to really confront his fears,
Yeah.
his doubts,
Yeah.
and ultimately decide what kind of life he wants to lead.
That's a big one.
It is.
What's it going to be?
And he does it. With that 7th breath,
He makes up his mind.
he makes his decision.
He's going for it.
He's going to America.
Yeah.
He chooses, not the easy path.
Definitely not the familiar path.
Right. He chooses the path that's less traveled, for sure.
The one with all the question marks, right?
Yeah. Instead of going back to the safety of the shore,
Back to what he knows.
he's sailing towards, the horizon, towards possibility.
An all new life.
It's a decision that just, it hits you.
It packs a punch.
It really does. Because it's not just about physically going to America, is it?
No, it's bigger than that.
It's about him choosing a new way to see himself.
Totally.
A new way to see the world.
And it makes you think.
It does.
Yeah. How often are we at these crossroads?
Right. Like in our own lives, obviously.
Maybe not on this scale, right?
Yeah, maybe not sailing away to a new country.
But we all have those moments, right?
All the time.
Where we have to choose between what's comfortable, what's safe, and what could change us.
What can really change us?
If we let it,
If we're brave enough.
Exactly.
And I think Manjiro's story really shows us, doesn't it?
It does.
That sometimes growth,
It's not always comfortable.
it means, stepping outside of what's familiar.
Sometimes you got to venture out into uncharted territory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It takes courage. It takes curiosity.
It takes 7 breaths.
Right. Sometimes all it takes is 7 breaths to make a life-altering decision.
You never know until you try it, right?
Right. And maybe that's what we should all be asking ourselves.
Yeah, what are those maps we're ignoring in our own lives?
What are those things, that are making us question things, that are beckoning us?
Beckoning us towards something new.
Yeah. Towards something more. Towards something different. What do you think?
I think those are the questions that Manjiro's story, it leaves us with.
Yeah.
They're not always easy to answer.
No, definitely not.
But they're important.
They are.
They make us think, right?
They do. They really do. So to everyone listening, maybe that's something to think about this week.
Yeah. What invitations are you ignoring?
What uncharted territories are calling your name?
And are you brave enough to take 7 breaths and say, yes?
That's a great place to leave it. Thank you so much for another great deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
And to all of you listening, thank you for joining us on this journey through Heart of a Samurai. We'll see you next time for another deep dive.